The grocery store parking lot shimmered under the scorching summer midday sun. The heat seemed to engulf everything around, making the air ripple like waves dancing over the asphalt. The murmur of traffic blended with the dry whistle of wind carrying specks of dust and scattering fallen, withered leaves. The oppressive weather seemed intent on suffocating every trace of life in the atmosphere. Amid this harsh noon, Sam, a man nearing 90, quietly pushed shopping carts into the collection area of the store. His sun-weathered face bore deep wrinkles. His calloused hands and his freckled, darkened skin revealed a lifetime of hard labor. His worn, dusty, sweat-soaked blue uniform clung to his back, a testament to countless blazing days endured. Elon Musk stepped out of his sleek electric car, his gaze unintentionally pausing on the elderly man hunched over the carts. A flicker of empathy crossed his eyes as he noticed the beads of sweat on the aged face, and the unwavering patience with which the man continued his task, undeterred by the searing heat. As Elon approached, a jammed cart forced Sam to bend down and adjust its wheel. The small name tag on Sam's blue uniform caught the sunlight, gleaming faintly. Elon read the name Sam etched on it, and a peculiar sense of familiarity stirred within him. Nodding, Elon greeted him. "Hello, Sam. Tough day at work?" Sam straightened up, a fleeting look of surprise crossing his face before he broke into a kind smile. "Oh, just another day in the sun. Hello, Elon," he replied. Elon furrowed his brow, his gaze lingering on the elderly man. Nearly 90 years old, yet working this grueling job under the blazing sun. Why? He noticed the calm in Sam's smile, but also the fatigue etched into his calloused hands and the deep lines of his weathered face. Unable to suppress his curiosity, Elon asked, "If you didn't have to work here, what would you do?" Sam paused, his eyes momentarily distant. "Honestly, I'd go fishing. My wife, Clara, loved detective novels. I promised her we'd read them together every day, but she passed before I could fulfill that promise." His voice faltered, but a gentle smile remained on his lips, as though masking a sharp pain buried deep within. Elon said nothing. Amid the oppressive heat and the chaotic background noise, Sam's story pulled him into another world, a world where quiet sorrow lingered beneath the composed exterior of the man before him. Elon stepped into the store, but his thoughts couldn't shake the image of Sam. That kind man, with his gentle smile holding untold sadness, and the profound melancholy in his eyes when he spoke of his late wife, replayed in Elon's mind. The way Sam spoke of Clara, with reverence and regret, made Elon feel as though a part of Sam had been lost with her. Elon stopped at an aisle, holding a basket. His heart weighed down. He had never imagined that a fleeting encounter could trouble him so deeply. But this time, it was different. Perhaps God led me to meet him today, Elon thought. The notion came as a whisper in his heart, a reminder that sometimes we're placed in the right moment and the right place for a reason. Elon glanced around the shelves before picking up his usual items, a carton of eggs, a bottle of milk, and a few protein bars. But then he paused at the hot food counter. He grabbed 2 sandwiches and 2 steaming cups of coffee. While standing in line to pay, he looked at the items in his basket. It would be so easy to just leave and forget about him, but would that be right? Once again, the image of Sam filled his mind, and he realized he couldn't ignore it. Elon knew what he needed to do. After paying, he held the bags, feeling a strange sense of relief. He didn't just want to give Sam a meal or coffee. He wanted to give him something he'd lost long ago: hope. As he stepped out of the store, the blazing sunlight still bathed the parking lot. Sam was still there, diligently aligning the carts. His small frame, under the oppressive heat, tugged at Elon's heart. "Sam!" Elon called out, raising the bag and coffee cup high as he walked briskly toward him. "Do you have a minute? Let's chat." Sam looked up, surprise flashing in his eyes, then smiled warmly. "Oh, you didn't have to do this." Elon shook his head, his smile genuine. "No, I wanted to. Let's sit under that tree up ahead." Sam studied Elon for a moment, hesitant, then nodded. "All right. I suppose I can take a quick break." They walked to a small bench shaded by a tree near the store. Elon handed Sam a sandwich and a cup of coffee. As Sam unwrapped the sandwich, his calloused hands trembled slightly. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "It's nothing," Elon replied, sipping his coffee. "I thought we could talk a bit. You don't mind, do you?" Sam chuckled lightly, looking directly at Elon, his gaze softening. "Not at all. You're a kind young man, Elon. And I suppose maybe God sent you here today?" Elon nodded slightly, his chest tightening. Maybe so, he thought, determined to do something meaningful for the man sitting before him. Elon sat across from Sam, a heaviness in his heart, as he watched the older man sip the hot coffee. At first, Sam seemed reserved, but Elon's sincere demeanor broke down the barriers. "You seem like someone with many stories," Elon began gently. "Why are you doing this job? I don't think this is where you belong." Sam smiled faintly, but it was laced with sorrow. He fell silent, as if searching through the depths of his memories. Finally, he sighed, his gaze distant, as though reaching for a piece of a beautiful past. "My wife, Clara, and I used to have a simple, peaceful life," Sam began, his voice trembling slightly. "We lived in a small but cozy house, with a garden full of roses that she tended to every day. Clara was an elementary school teacher. She loved children and adored reading stories to them. I can still remember the way her eyes lit up with joy when the kids listened intently to her tales." Sam paused, his calloused hands tightening around the coffee cup. "Everything changed when Clara was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. I quit my stable job to care for her full-time. Back then, I couldn't think of anything else but being by her side, doing everything I could to ease her pain." His voice cracked, but he pressed on, as though trying to release the weight in his heart. "In her final days, I stayed with her in the hospital, holding her hand and reading the detective novels she loved. She said those stories helped her forget the pain, even for a little while. But you know," his voice wavered. Sometimes my tears blurred the words. "I couldn't read anymore. But Clara would smile and tell me that just having me there was enough." Elon felt a lump in his throat, but said nothing, letting Sam continue. Taking a deep breath, Sam's voice trembled. "The medical bills swallowed everything we had, our savings, our home, even our dreams of retiring together. I sold it all, just trying to keep her here. But it wasn't enough. The day she passed, I didn't just lose Clara. I lost my life as I knew it." Sam stopped. His eyes reddened, locking onto Elon's. "You know, Clara never complained. She always smiled, even when she knew she was leaving me. Her last words to me were, 'Don't worry, Sam. It'll all be okay. You'll be okay.' But I didn't know how to be okay, Elon. Losing her, I lost everything, except for the memories and this loneliness that's lingered for years." Suddenly, Sam's trembling hands reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, faded photograph. It was a picture of their wedding day, Clara in a simple white dress, her smile radiant as sunlight, and Sam, young and proud, standing beside her, gripping her hand tightly. Sam gazed at the photo, his eyes glistening, but his voice broke as he spoke. "I had to sell my wedding ring, Elon. It was the most precious thing I had of Clara and me, but hospital bills don't wait for anyone." He sighed deeply. "I can still feel the cold emptiness when my hand was bare. But I had no other choice." Ejon stayed silent, absorbing every word, feeling the weight of Sam's sorrow as he gently smoothed the photograph with shaking hands. "I begged the buyer to take care of it because, to me, it was a lifetime. I've never stopped hoping to get it back. But I know that hope is faint." Taking a deep breath, Elon's chest tightened. He placed a firm hand on Sam's shoulder. "You shouldn't have had to give up so much, Sam. Clara's memory will never fade, no matter what happens to the physical keepsakes. But I promise you, I'll do something about this." Sam looked up at Elon, his eyes filled with gratitude and surprise. "You're kind, Elon, but I've learned to let things go." Sam's voice softened, as though he was recounting a distant dream. Clara had a beautiful voice, you know. She used to sing every night before bed. Her favorite song was Amazing Grace. He paused, his gaze distant. On her last night, lying in that hospital bed, her voice was so weak, but she still sang. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I don't know if she sang it for me or herself, but in that moment, it felt like she was telling me that everything would be okay, even though I couldn't believe it. Elon gently squeezed Sam's hand, hoping to share some of the pain he could never fully comprehend. Maybe she was sending a message, Sam. She wanted you to know that no matter how much you've lost, you can still find yourself again. Sam nodded, his voice trembling. Maybe you're right. Sam paused, his shoulders trembling slightly, as if all the strength he had left was draining away. Elon said nothing, only placed a comforting hand on Sam's shoulder, offering silent solace. Maybe God led me to meet you today, Elon said softly, his voice filled with emotion, so I could do something to help you feel less alone. Sam looked up at Elon, his tear-filled eyes reflecting a glimmer of hope. Do you really think so, Elon? Elon nodded firmly, his heart tightening. I believe it, Sam. I believe she would want me to remind you that you deserve to be happy. Sam gazed into the distance, as if he could see Clara smiling beside him. A single tear rolled down his deeply lined face, but this time it carried not just sorrow, but gratitude and relief. Elon sat there, the weight of Sam's story heavy on his heart. The image of the elderly man tirelessly pushing carts under the scorching sun now held deeper meaning, representing years of sacrifice and loss. Those calloused hands that once cared for a garden full of roses and lovingly held Clara's until her final moments now trembled as they gripped a warm cup of coffee, seeking to hold on to the last traces of comfort. Taking a deep breath, Elon reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He carefully withdrew a stack of cash and placed it on the bench between them. The crisp $100 bills lay there silently, yet carried the depth of Elon's empathy and intent. Sam, Elon began, his voice steady yet warm. You've given everything for the love of your life. No one should have to endure this, especially someone like you. This isn't just money. It's to help you live without working yourself to the bone, just to get by. Sam stared at the money, tears welling in his eyes. Shaking his head, he gently pushed it back toward Elon. No, I can't accept this, Elon. You've already done so much. Just listening to my story is more than enough. Elon shook his head, his gaze firm yet kind. No, Sam, you don't need to prove anything anymore. You've spent your life loving and sacrificing. Now it's time for others to give back to you. You don't just deserve help, you deserve to have hope again. Sam sat quietly, tears streaming down his weathered face as he looked at the money. His calloused hands trembled as they reached for it, as if touching a miracle. I don't know what to say. How could I ever repay you? Elon smiled, leaning in slightly. You don't have to repay me, but I do have one request, Sam. Sam looked up, still bewildered. What is it? You have to promise me that you'll work less and spend time living for yourself. And for Clara. Buy that book you both wanted to read. Go fishing like you dreamed of. Live for her as much as for yourself. Sam chuckled softly, though his tears continued to fall. Elon, you know what? This isn't just money. You've given me something I thought I'd lost long ago. Hope. And I promise you, I'll do it. I'll live not just for me, but for Clara, too. Elon placed a hand on his shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze, his gaze full of warmth. That's all I want, Sam. And one more thing. You have to take me fishing. You said you love it, and I've never tried. Sam laughed, this time a laugh filled with genuine emotion. You've got yourself a deal, Elon. And thank you. Thank you for everything. Sam clutched the stack of money tightly in his hands, as if holding on to a newfound glimmer of hope. His tears were no longer just those of sorrow, but of release. He looked up at Elon, his voice trembling. If Clara were still here, she'd say I was lucky to have met you. Clara always believed that God would send an angel to help us when we needed it the most. Maybe today, God sent you to save me." Elon smiled, his eyes glistening in the sunlight. "She was the lucky one too, Sam, because she had a husband like you, and I believe she's still here, still watching over you." Sam nodded softly, his shoulders feeling lighter, as though a burden had been lifted. In that moment, he realized Clara had never truly left him. She was still there, through the love he carried for her, through the hope that Elon had just reignited in his heart. Elon stood up, gently patting Sam on the shoulder before leaving. Sam remained seated on the bench, watching Elon's figure fade into the distance, his heart brimming with gratitude. The money in his hands was not merely material relief, it symbolized the faith that, even when life strips everything away, there's always a chance to begin anew. And Clara, he knew, would always be there, smiling, walking with him. In the golden warmth of the setting sun, he could almost see her standing amidst their rose garden, her smile soft and radiant. His heart ached, but it was no longer just pain. It was a deep appreciation for a love that had once been so beautiful and profound. As Elon reached his car, he paused, as if struck by a thought, and turned back. Walking towards Sam, he placed a small piece of paper into his hand. "This is my phone number. Call me when you're ready for our fishing trip. I want to make sure you never feel alone again." Sam looked at the paper, his eyes welling with emotion. Reaching into the pocket of his uniform, he pulled out an old, worn watch with a frayed strap. "This is Clara's watch. She gave it to me on her last birthday. I want you to have it, as a thank you." Elon looked at the watch, then gently pushed it back towards Sam. "No, you should keep it, Sam. It's a part of her, a part of the love you've cherished all these years. But let it remind you that even though she's no longer here, she wants you to keep living, and to live happily." Sam nodded, tears streaming down his wrinkled cheeks. "You're truly special, Elon. Clara would surely thank God for letting me meet you." The next day, Sam visited the nearest flower shop and bought a bouquet of white roses, Clara's favorite. He then stopped by a small bookstore on the corner and purchased a detective novel Clara had once wanted to read, but never had the chance. Holding the bouquet and the book, Sam made his way to the cemetery. Standing before Clara's grave, he gently placed the flowers down, his hands trembling as he lightly touched the cool headstone. "Clara," he whispered, "today I met someone special, someone who reminded me that I still have worth, that I shouldn't give up. I'll live well, Clara, because I know that's what you always wanted for me." Sam opened the book, turned to the first few pages, and smiled, as if he were reading aloud to her. A soft breeze carried the gentle fragrance of roses, like a tender touch from cherished memories. As Sam left the cemetery, there was a new light in his eyes. His steps were lighter, and his shoulders seemed to no longer bear the weight of years of loneliness. Passing by a group of children playing, he heard their bright laughter, and a smile crossed his face. Clara had always loved children, and now, in those joyful sounds, he could feel her presence once more. A few weeks later, on a quiet morning, Sam received a small package in the mail. When he opened it, he froze, his hands trembling so much that he nearly dropped the box. Inside was his wedding ring, the one he had sold through tears. Along with it was a small note that read, "A husband like you deserves to keep the love that lasts forever. We only help return it to where it belongs." Sam sat down on a small wooden chair in the garden outside his home. The sunlight gently bathed his face, as if soothing the wounds of his past. The wedding ring, now back in his possession, rested securely on his thin, weathered finger. Sam lightly twisted it, feeling every engraved detail. "Clara, I've found you again," he whispered softly. "But not just you. I found myself, too, carrying the delicate scent of roses, like a tender caress from memories long gone." Sam closed his eyes and took a deep breath. In that moment, he no longer felt alone. Clara, he knew, had always been there, through their memories, through the love he had for her, and through the moments he was now learning to live fully again. The following day, Sam woke up earlier than usual, preparing his fishing rod and a small basket. Standing in front of the mirror, he adjusted his old coat and smiled at his reflection. "Today is going to be a beautiful day," he said cheerfully. Stepping outside, he saw Elon waiting by his familiar car. "Ready, Sam?" "You're in charge today," Elon said, his bright smile lighting up the morning. Sam laughed heartily, a sound that hadn't escaped his lips in years. "I'm more ready than ever, Elon. Let's go. We've got so much to do." The car rolled away, carrying the silhouettes of two men, one old, one young, brought together by kindness and a shared belief that life always holds the promise of new beginnings. Sam felt the warm sunlight streaming through the window, his smile lingering. For the first time in years, he wasn't just living for Clara's memory. He was living for himself. He had rediscovered hope, regained his zest for life, and in doing so, realized that love and kindness have the power to revive even the most withered hearts. If this story has touched your heart, leave a like and share this video to spread the message of love and kindness to those around you. Sometimes, the smallest acts we do can create profound changes in someone else's life. Anyone can be part of such small miracles. Additionally, if you found this story thought-provoking and would like to hear more meaningful tales like this, hit the subscribe button on our channel. Every day, we bring you inspiring stories that reignite faith in life and remind us that kindness is all around us. Together, we can not only listen, but also act, spreading goodness and creating human values that make this world warmer and brighter. Let's continue to write meaningful stories because each of us has the power to make a difference.